Natural and man-made disasters are creating a lot of havoc and are affecting our day-to-day life. Particularly, we have seen in disasters there are so many reasons. As we have seen in the case of building fires, there is negligence. Particularly, this is man-made disasters caused due to negligence and sometimes intentionally also. And these type of fires we have seen in urban and rural areas. In urban areas particularly, we have seen these fires in the industries, which is really affecting life and property. We have seen these type of build fires in the schools where small kids are really being affected. We have Dr. Rajiv Kohli with us today, who is expert on the field. So we would like to know the reasons, causes particularly for these type of fires.
Thank you very much. I think understanding fire as a part of disaster management is a very important aspect, because in many cases of man-made disasters, and sometimes in case of natural disasters like earthquake also, the result is fire. And so these could also be clubbed, although we are now going to in this session look at fire, especially building fires separately. So as a disaster management, how do we look at fire? First of all, fire, any disaster which is a man-made disaster, there would be many definitions of disaster and many understanding, but definitely disaster is something which happens due to an hazard which is existing. It may be sudden, it may be slow onset, the causes may be many, but it affects the loss of life and property, infrastructure, and with it the social structures are affected. So this basic definition we must keep in mind. One person getting injured may not be a national disaster.
Of course.
So that way we must be very clear when we're studying disaster management. As a student of disaster management, I think fire has a very important aspect. Although it sometimes becomes difficult to classify disasters into natural or man-made. But whatever it is, we must first understand how does fire take place, the combustion. You know, it must have a combustible substance to be there, something to catch fire. Then there should be a supporter of combustion, which is oxygen. So, and there should be an ignition temperature. Now, once we understand this, we can ourselves think of methods of how to prevent it by these hazards not being there or taking adequate safety measures. And based on these principles, you know, the fire extinguishers are also, or extinguishing of fire also is done on this. That is, either you cool the burning substance and bring it below the ignition point, or you cut off the air supply or supply of oxygen.
That's very right, sir, but we have seen that either people or personnel are not trained for this purpose, or sometimes fire extinguishers are not working properly.
Yeah, that's right. So these are important. Now once you understand what is fire, so the importance of fire extinguisher and how to extinguish fire by simple first aid methods or immediate response. And one must also understand, when there is fire there is smoke, and when the improper combustion takes place, then instead of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide is formed, and carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas.
Yeah, these type of gases are also affecting a lot, particularly in case of deaths.
That's right. So it is carbon monoxide primarily, but it could be any other fumes also, which may be toxic due to burning of plastics and other chemicals, especially industrial fires, you know, those type of things. Now, if you look at it, when a fire takes place, what are its characteristics? You know, it is always fast. Once the fire takes place, the combustion is very fast. Suddenly it will spread out, and it is hot. You know, there are flames, the temperature goes up, so naturally anything which comes near it, like LPG cylinders are there, they will burst. Exactly. And people will get burns and other sort of effect. It is dark also. You know, when if there's a fire and you get trapped in it, it becomes totally pitch dark inside. So that would be another, you know, seeing would not be there.
Yeah, in the case of Upahar tragedy, we have seen that. Environment was, it was just blackout at that time.
Yeah, and also deadly smoke was also there.
Of course.
So these gases also kill not only carbon monoxide poisoning but other things. So like in Upar cinema thing lessons we have learnt was this smoke, how to get out of it. So after that lot of regulations, other things have been done so that in public places, earlier on you will remember that in the cinema halls they used to lock the gates. So even during interval nobody could come out.
Exactly.
So now there is a regulation and they are enforcing that these gates are not locked, they exist is there, so that in case of any tragedy or eventuality or accident, people can rush out.
It's good method of prevention, sir.
So these are the outcomes. People are learning from the experiences also. And in fact, once we understand what is fire, how it takes place, let us also have a look at the building fires. In fact, today we will concentrate more on building fires. And building fires, as you know, buildings could be anywhere. These are in cities, in towns, in villages, rural areas, industries have buildings, public places, schools are there. And of course, along with buildings, we mean the structures. The structures may be permanent, they may be wooden, they may be combustible, and these could be temporary structures also. And like recently, there was a fire in Meerut in an exhibition in a where there was a lot of gathering. You know how much of casualty and how much of chaos takes place. You know, unnecessary such a type of loss which can be avoided by following small precautions.
That's important. And it has been observed that more than 34% are caused due to electrical failures and electrical origin, particularly in case of building fires in urban areas.
That's right. When we talk of buildings in urban places like cinema halls and high-rise buildings, or there could be godowns and religious places, industrial establishments, even railway station and other places, you know, the origin of fire could be either electrical. It could be some careless act also, like smoking, and those also cause. Then a lot of fires also originate from kitchens. You know, because that's regularly you are using fire there, which is very important.
It has been identified in the case of Tamil Nadu school. Fire brought out in the kitchen.
That's right. Because a lot of buildings, the fire, always there's a source of fire is there in the kitchen. Most of the buildings will have kitchens. They will have electrical connections, loose connections and other sort of things, and maybe there are generators and other equipment lying there which may be carelessly handled. Also then the naked light, you know, you'll leave a candle burning and there's nobody and there's combustible material. Or sometimes very small cause is also arson, you know, extremists or other due to rivalry or revenge of people light up some. Especially this may also happen in slum clusters or those type
mostly
of places.
in rural areas.
Rural areas also. And you know, some basic attributes if you look at in the urban areas for fire, you know, urban areas are unplanned. They will have they have lot of slums which have haphazard growth. Then the construction may not be monitored, so that may lead to unsafe conditions. Commercial transport godowns are concentrated in very congested areas. Those are
also a reason.
High-rise buildings are there where if adequate safety measures are not incorporated or followed, again it becomes a risk. In concentration of industries in the urban areas, that is also another risk. Then increase of fire load on all occupancies due to use of combustible and flammable materials. You know, they may be using a lot of wood or paneling which is combustible. So these are also very dangerous. Then there may not be proper water source for firefighting available. Then of course a lot of due to, you know, mischief and miscreants creating fire, that may increase. Then you know, electrical fires, you know, use of electricity by illegal tapping, lot of wires coming out from places, naked wires, old wires, heating which heat up,
selfish motives,
selfish motive, negligence or not having proper caution. All these things are also. And also another problem in urban areas is that the roads are congested and narrow, and the fire engines and all find it very difficult to reach the fire spot in time, and due to traffic also.
Yeah.
So these are the things. Now, lot of measures could be taken also,
Exactly.
like some important things are that whenever there is a fire, there is a lot of crowd near it, so that crowd has to be controlled. You may have to divert the traffic, when if it's a congested
Exactly.
area and other traffic, so that may be then local arrangement should also be there to control fire, because whenever the fire starts, it's always very small.
Yeah.
Then it increases and spreads. So if it can be nipped in the bud,
Yeah.
I think that is the best thing. Also, all the people in the community, the local organization, local people there or in the institutes, they should be organized to put out fires.
Very
So
right.
that is very important. It's not only some other fire brigade, but first step should be taken there only. So, of course, coordinate with the
Community
fire.
participation is required
Yes,
at this level.
like all disaster management, in fact, fire is a very important as fire management or fire fighting would require a lot of. Then how to rescue the trapped and injured people should be known. First aid. Then in case of a deaths and other things, then how to handle the dead bodies in after fire. Their panchanama, their proper arrangements. Salvaging whatever can be from the fire, building fires also very important. If you can save something, it is very essential. All these fires in urban areas have to be investigated also. So that again is the important aspect. So people over there can start, should be trained to take down details,
Exactly.
and so that to know the cause of fire or to prevent it, and at each stage this is required. Like, when the fire brigade comes, if somebody is able to, it's like a rescue teams or disaster management teams which come from outside, if there are local people who can guide them.
Yeah.
So similarly in case of fire, then in case it's mischief, then the criminals have to be apprehended. And if fire takes place, let's say in a sensitive area like a religious place, then there may be a fear of communal peace being
Violence,
disrupted.
communal
So
violence
those
will
type
occur,
of
definitely.
things also should be looked into.
Yeah, here community participation is really needed, and I think NGOs, particularly some voluntary organizations in that particular area, can definitely help to train people.
Yeah. In fact, once we have understood what is fires in buildings generally, then we can go further and see that in rural areas also a lot of cases of fire take place. Now, there it is actually quite different. The rural scenarios, in the village area, the infrastructure support may not be that good. The firefighting arrangements or the fire brigade vehicles may not be able to come.
Yeah, that's true.
There may be lack of organized reaction, and also inaccessibility due to poor road conditions may be there. And also you find that a lot of poor people are living in the rural areas where they are staying in huts and small localities where these are all made of combustible material.
Yeah, and maximum fires occur due to negligence.
Negligence. And also after a harvest, because all the crops are dried up, and even a small spark can completely burn the harvest, which is a disaster which has a lot of dimensions to it. It is not only the fire effect, it is also the resultant loss to livelihood, to the complete earnings, and which leads to other secondary problems. So the livelihood and the social, cultural aspects also are linked to it in that area. And so major cause in rural area would be the biggest cause is careless smoking.
Careless smoking, yeah.
By leaving beedi and cigarette butts around, or matchsticks are thrown away.
Exactly.
Then again kitchen fires, because still in the rural areas the medium of cooking is generally the chulas,
Oh, yeah.
and that also with the thatched huts and other the crops being stored nearby and other combustible material nearby can be very dangerous. Electrical origin again, and naked lights are also causing. And then there is maybe enmity or rivalry between some people, some communities, so they may also light up the fire, and this arson
Yeah, many
related.
cases have been observed in the rural areas due to enmity.
Yes, so that again becomes, especially after harvest, a lot of these problems are there, and you will find in rural areas even the farmers guarding their crops against such type of miscreants. And also in certain times like Diwali times or other, when there are fire crackers and fireworks which may lead to fires also. So this was also another cause. Actually, if you look at rural areas, the fire risk is less concentrated.
Less concentrated comparatively from urban
it is.
areas.
But what happens? There are more often. It happens, and because the people are poor or their percentage poverty level is more in the rural area, so the loss to livelihood is much more in that area, and there is lack of communication facilities. Fire services are not there. People may be ignorant of how to use this or
That's
call
true.
for help. Approach is inaccessible. Water source there may not be any systematic water source to
Easy
supply
approach,
water
yeah.
to douse the fire. And in open field, high wind velocity spray, due to which the fire spreads very fast. And before help can come, the fire in the villages would have burnt out most of the things and caused a lot of destruction. So that, I think, is another thing where in rural areas, where we can have a specific focus for understanding these types of fires. They may not have high buildings, but the huts and the smaller homes of the people, where everything inside is combustible. So in case it is destroyed, they have 100% loss, and it takes a long time for them to recoup.
Recover, yeah. Sir, as we have observed that there are more chances in urban areas when we see industries. Industrial fires are also affecting a lot, life and property both, particularly the persons who are working there. So we would like to know the reasons for that.
Yeah, industries, the fires are very complex there. Risk is there enormous, too much of, because there is rapid growth of industries taking place, and these also cause a lot of not only destruction to property, but also because they render the workers jobless.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of investment and capital to start an industry. So once it is destroyed, to restart it becomes very big
Difficult.
problem.
Yeah.
So
Unless until it is ensured.
Yes, so those type of mitigation measures are very important. So once we understand the basic disasters and the reasons and causes for these fires, I think we can automatically go
Definitely we
towards
can
the
mitigate these
mitigation problems. And although industry, there are a lot of other regulations. There is supposed to be a factory fire prevention officer, and who should take a lot of actions like training the people into operating fire extinguishers and fire alarms and calling of the fire brigade, and fire notices are displayed in the local language also people can understand. And these notices, should be very helpful and short and, easy eye-catching, so that people in their free time can read it and understand, so that this is also a capacity building also for them.
And fire extinguishers at the easy approach, and that should be in a working condition. That's very important.
That's very important, because most of the places you find there are fire extinguishers, but they are not working, or people do not know how to use them. So that's equally bad. So these are small things. And these can be overcome by conducting regular fire drills. And these fire drills should be there for all sections of the workers and the people in the organization. Also, many industries will be storing a lot of chemicals or other inflammable materials and the area may be congested. There will be a lot of transport and other problems. Also transit, they may be in transit. Sometimes they are using, it may be stored, or the industry may be illegal areas. So adhering to safety norms would be a prime responsibility for fighting fires in this area. So actually, once we understand the fires in these places like villages or in urban areas or in industries which are very common, we should understand that one of the major source of this fire or type of fire is electrical fire.
That's there, sir.
Because due to substandard equipment, bad wiring, bad use, illegal tapping, voltage fluctuations, insulations or circuit breakers not being there, earthing may not be proper, and these small things require a lot of attention, and it makes the building or industry or the area prone to electrical fire. And especially, the places which should be seen are power generation stations like thermal, hydel, gas-based power, then power grids and substations and transformers. These also catch fire, and they become very dangerous. And then some industries consume a lot of electricity, so there also the electrical fires, because naturally those industries are one which have a lot of electrical equipment. So, and agricultural sectors also, where they have pump sets and other things which are using electricity. So these also. Then the cold storage and refrigeration plants, they use a lot of electricity, and there also electrical fire danger is there. Now, if we look at it in some of the places, the individual reasons, let's say if you go to a thermal power station, you'll find that the case of fire is due to either the first thing is that thermal power stations are generally based on coal, and this stacking of the coal may not be proper. So these have to be kept properly to prevent fire. Then friction spark or spark due to electrical faults should not be there near the coal. Then a lot of oil is stored because of the boiler houses they have these oil, and these oils also are highly combustible, so they have to be stored properly. And then leakage and explosion takes place in the steam pipes and other things, so it leads to further damage causing fire. Maintenance of the generators and other things have to be proper, otherwise they also lead to fire. Then there are a lot of, because these are powered stations, so a lot of cabling is there, and cables are passing through, so these get there may, if there's insulation failure, so again there will be a lot of problem. Firefighting system should be available there. And then generally what happens, like in near the switch rooms, a huge quantity of oil is kept, so that may lead to fires. Maintenance of the control room and other places requires to be good, and proper ventilation, and the construction has to be such that it is fire resistant.
That's important.
So if we look at the other type of electrical fires from transformers, there may be a breakdown of insulation in the transformer and the switching system. There may be lighting surge, overloading. Gradually there may be deterioration which may set in. Oil level in the transformers may be low, so that also would heat up the transformer. The coils in the transformer, they may be moisture accumulated, which may lead to short circuiting and fire. Internal connections may be loose. Then some sort of failures in the system which are functioning inside, and also due to natural lightning also, these which may fall on this, so that may also some places, especially on hilltops and other areas. Similarly, we can see that in industries, the origin of fire is due to short circuits. Electrical fires are due to, again, same short circuit, overheating of cables, ignition of inflammable gases due to spark, then faulty maintenance of the conveyor belts, because these then get heated up, then combustible substances, and there is electrostatic discharge, which would be circuit breakers fail or fuses are of inappropriate type, and there is no basic safety mechanism inside the electrical equipment, and general housekeeping and neatness, cleanliness has to be maintained, otherwise lot of other things come and get inside the equipment, electrical equipment, and that creates a lot of malfunctioning which may lead to fire. And of course improper earthing. Sometimes either they are not trained or they are taking shortcuts in fixing up their connections.
Sometimes just to save money, people are not buying proper they are not going for proper wiring.
So that is also another very important thing. And in the domestic uses, in our own houses, if you use of inappropriate fuse or overloading of the electrical circuits. The installed load may be only of 1 kilowatt and the people are using three ACs in that house.
Exactly.
So those are also, wiring has to be of proper standard, and the equipment also generally sometimes it is found that non-standard things are used. Circuit breakers and insulation has to be good. Illegal tapping is done in a lot of houses domestically. So these, especially in slum areas. So that also is also dangerous because it will lead to sparking, short circuit and other type of things which will cause fire. Voltage fluctuation also would cause a lot of problems, and similarly other things. And when we were covering the rural areas and villages, in the agriculture sector also a lot of electrical fires take place because of the use of substandard pumps. For the agriculture, and then the maintenance may not be proper of the electrical equipment. Voltage fluctuation in the electricity may be there, which again in this, and awareness is another issue which should be seen into it.
So in addition to that, we have seen in temporary shelters, particularly at the time of, we will say, post-disaster moment or during disasters, when we arrange these type of temporary shelters, and during melas, which are very popular in India, these type of fires exist and people are really being affected due to that. So how to stop that? How to mitigate such type of fire?
I think you have very rightly brought out this point of temporary structures and shelters. We always face this problem that due to some ceremonies or some function, temporary structure is installed, pandals are installed, and sometimes during the festival season like Diwali or Christmas, special sales are organized in the marketplaces or in open areas, which are made into tents. And recently in Meerut in the summers, such a big sale was organized. There was so much of crowd, and in fact the tents were also air conditioned, but it was basically an electrical fire which caused so much of loss and damage, and people are not at that time aware that what type of safety measures they should have taken. So all these things lead to a lot of problems of this, and we have been having so many case histories and studies of fires in school functions or in marriage pandals and such type of things. Now if you look at it, these type of fires are basically caused due to the material used for their making.
Of course, synthetic material which is being used.
Synthetic or cloth or other tents are made of those, and the poles are wooden with furniture inside, carpets there. So these type of things are very highly combustible. The electrical fittings are loose fittings, loose connections, improper insulation, and then we want to along with it decorate with a lot of high voltage or high powered lamps, music systems, loud PA systems, maybe even air conditioners and other sort of things. So these are all sources. There are other coffee machines and other things.